Hello all, welcome to Lucid Means. Today, we are going to discuss about Sustainable Development Goals from the Indian perspective. This assessment is based on the recent SDG India Index Baseline Report 2018 released by Niti Aayog. And here we are trying to cover this topic in a comprehensive way which you could use for your general studies papers including ethics and for optional papers like sociology, public administration and so on. This is the fifth part of the series in which we will try to cover 3 goals, and we will go into the remaining ones in the coming parts. Okay, so let us start with goal 8, decent work and economic growth. This SDG is closely interrelated with goals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 12, 14 and 16. It aims to achieve higher levels of economic productivity through diversification and technological upgradation, and also promote development-oriented policies that support decent job creation, entrepreneurship and creativity and innovation. It also seeks to protect labor rights and promote safe and secure working environments for all workers. The best performing state and UT in this goal are Goa and Daman and Diu. So, what about the targets? First target is to sustain per capita economic growth in accordance with national circumstances, and in particular at least 7% GDP growth per annum in the least developed countries. Second one is to achieve higher levels of economic productivity through diversification, technological upgradation and innovation, including through a focus on high value added and labor intensive sectors. Third is to promote development oriented policies that support productive activities, decent job creation, entrepreneurship, creativity and innovation, and encourage and formalization and growth of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, including through access to financial services. Fourth one, to improve progressively through 2030 global resource efficiency in consumption and production, and endeavor to decouple economic growth from environmental degradation. Fifth, by 2030, achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all women and men, including for young people and persons with disabilities, and equal pay for work of equal value. Sixth one, by 2020, substantially reduce the proportion of youth not in employment, education or training. Seventh, take immediate and effective measures to eradicate forced labor and modern slavery and human trafficking, and secure the prohibition and elimination of the worst forms of child labor, including recruitment and use of child soldiers, and by 2025 end child labor in all its forms. Eighth one, to protect labor rights and promote safe and secure working environments for all workers, including migrant workers, in particular women migrants and those in precarious employment. Next one, by 2030, devise and implement policies to promote sustainable tourism that create jobs and promotes local culture and products. 10th one is that strengthen the capacity of domestic financial institutions to encourage and expand access to banking, insurance and financial services for all. There are 2 sub-targets for this goal, and the first one tries to increase aid for trade support for developing countries, in particular least developed countries, including through the enhanced integrated framework for trade related technical assistance to least developed countries. Second one, by 2020, develop and operationalize a global strategy for youth employment and implement the Global Jobs Pact of International Labour Organization. So, where India stands? First, on GDP growth. The annual growth rate of India's GDP per capita stands at 6.5%. The target is to take this rate to 10%. 16 states and 3 UTs have annual per capita GDP growth rate more than the national average. Among the states and UTs, the best performance is shown by Jammu and Kashmir and Delhi respectively. Second one is unemployment rate. The average unemployment rate per 1000 persons stands at 63.5. But the 2030 target is to reduce this figure to 14.83. Among the states, Gujarat has the least number of unemployed persons per 1000, that is 10 per 1000. Among the UTs, the best performance is shown by Daman and Diu at 18 per 1000. So what about bank access? 99.99% of households in the country have bank accounts. This was made possible because of the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. Only 9 states like Assam, Chhattisgarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Karnataka, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Odisha and Rajasthan fail short of 100% achievement on this indicator. Next one is about ATM coverage. 16.84 bank ATMs are available in the country per 1 lakh population. But the 2030 target is to take this figure to 50.95. Goa is the best performing state on this indicator with 65.42 ATMs available per 1 lakh population. And among UTs, it is Chandigarh with 45.23 ATMs. So, what are the Government of India initiatives? Here we will discuss only the most important flagship schemes on the go, but you can find the ministry-wise sorted list from our material. So, please go through the material to find that bunch and we believe it will help you. Okay. And the first one is Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program or PMEGP. It aims to generate employment opportunities by establishing micro enterprises in rural as well as urban areas. It is a credit-linked subsidy program where self-help groups registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860 are eligible for subsidies to set up projects under PMEGP. Next one is Startup India. To foster an environment of nurturing innovation and startups in the country, aimed at driving economic growth and generating large-scale employment opportunities. This scheme facilitates bank loans between 10 lakh and rupees 1 crore from scheduled commercial banks to at least one scheduled caste or scheduled tribe and one woman per bank for setting up a greenfield enterprise in trading, services or manufacturing sector. The scheme is expected to benefit at least 2.5 lakh borrowers. Next one is Skill India. To provide institutional capacity to train a minimum of 400 million skilled people by 2022 is a target of Skill India. It focuses on short-term vocational education programs with the mission to scale up skill development efforts by creating an end-to-end outcome-focused implementation framework which aligns demands of the market with a well-trained and skilled workforce. Also, specific programs under this umbrella are National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme and the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So, how India could achieve this target? Should improve agricultural infrastructure including irrigation structures. Diversification of agriculture to include livestock and high value crops will help the farmers. Need to facilitate institutional arrangements such as contract farming, producer organization and cooperatives. Provide farmers easy access to markets and ensure that they distribute price risk and also reduce marketing and transaction costs to secure inclusive growth. Enhance competition in the marketplace and national agriculture market is a good initiative as it can be very beneficial for small and marginal farmers because almost 80% farmers fall in this category. Focus on precision farming as it helps in optimal use of resources. Employment should be made central to the growth strategy. Other pertinent examples are Make in India, access to funds through Mudra schemes, etc. The focus is on labor-intensive sectors. Next one is that there is a need to improve worker skill because the 2011-12 data of NSSO suggests that just about 10% of Indian labor force has some kind of training, of which only 2% has some formal training and 8% has some informal training, which is passed on from generation to generation. But India's target is to train 500 million by 2022. Next one is to improve Labour Market Administration web portal, Shram Suvidha portal, which facilitate online registration, self-certification and web-based inspections. System for identification of unorganized workers also need to be put in place. The key to generation of employment is that we need to focus on local development strategy. Livelihood business incubators in rural areas should be promoted. Enact and implement the Minimum Wages Act in all states. There should be social security in terms of health insurance and other insurance schemes which the states should bring given their specificities. There should be education and vocational training and technical education in states. Should have deeper sector analysis using field level, sector specific data to understand their specific problem and generate employment opportunity accordingly. Another important one is that apprenticeship for the informal sector. That is, investments are being made to provide apprenticeship in the formal sector, but steps are needed to be taken to do the same in the informal sector too. Next one is that make trade certification compulsory everywhere. Also should provide finance for skill training in the informal sector. So with that, we come to the end of the goal 8 and we are moving on to goal 9, that is industry, innovation and infrastructure. This SDG is closely interrelated with goals 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 and 13. It aims at building quality, reliable and resilient infrastructure. It further aims at promoting increased resource use efficiency and greater adoption of clean and environmentally sound technologies and industrial processes to support economic development and human well-being. Investment in innovation is an important pillar of this goal, and the best performing state and UTs are Manipur and Delhi. So, what about the targets? First target is to develop quality, reliable, sustainable and resilient infrastructure, including regional and trans-border infrastructure to support economic development and human well-being. Next one is to promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and by 2030 significantly raise industry's share of employment and GDP. Third one is increase the access of small-scale industrial and other enterprises, in particular in developing countries, to financial services including affordable credit and their integration into value chains and markets. Fourth one, by 2030, upgrade infrastructure and retrofit industries to make them sustainable with increased resource use efficiency and greater adoption of clean and environmentally sound technologies and industrial processes. Fifth one, enhance scientific research, upgrade the technological capabilities of industrial sectors in all countries, in particular developing countries, including by 2030, encouraging innovation and substantially increasing the number of research and development works per 1 million people and public and private research and development spending. There are 3 sub-targets too, and the first one is to facilitate sustainable and resilient infrastructure development in developing countries through enhanced financial, technological and technical support to African countries, least developing countries, landlocked countries and small island developing states. Next one is support domestic technology development, research or innovation in developing countries, including by ensuring a conducive policy environment for inter alia, industrial diversification and value addition to commodities. And the third one is significantly increase access to information and communications and strive to provide universal and affordable access to internet in least developing countries by 2020. So, where India stands? First one, in road connectivity. To connect entire India by all weather roads, the Government of India has initiated the program Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. At national level, 47.38% of targeted habitations have been covered. Gujarat is the only state that has achieved 100% connectivity under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Next one is internet density and mobile tele density. India aims to achieve the target of providing at least one mobile connection and one internet connection per person by 2030. The mobile density per 100 person is more than 100% in 6 states and 1 UT. At the national level, mobile density is roughly 83 per 100 persons. Internet access is significantly lower in comparison to mobile access. There are only about 33 internet subscribers per 100 persons nationally. Delhi has the highest internet density in the country with 126 internet connections per 100 persons. Next one is Bharat Net coverage. Bharat Net has been launched to develop infrastructure to spread the reach of mobile and internet access to remote gram panchayats in the country with a national target of 100%. Currently, only 42.43% of gram panchayats in India are covered under the scheme. Karnataka, Kerala and Puducherry have achieved this target. Next, Government of India initiatives. As I have already said, here we will discuss only about the most important schemes and programs, but you could find the detailed ministry-wise sorted list from the material given. Please go through that, okay? So, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana was launched by Government of India to provide connectivity to remote habitations as part of poverty reduction strategy. Next one is Bharat Mala, which aims to link India with world-class highways. Next one is Sagarmala program to facilitate port-led industrialization, are giving a renewed thrust to the development of infrastructure and integrated logistics framework in the country. The Make in India campaign has been launched with the objective of attracting foreign and domestic investments so as to develop the country as a global hub of manufacturing, innovation and design. Next one is Digital India. It's a flagship program launched with an aim to transform India into a digitally powered society and prepare India as a knowledge economy by focusing on technology to enable change. It is an umbrella program which covers various sectors under its purview by emphasis on National E-Governance Plan. The Aadhaar program, wherein every resident of the country is provided a unique identification number, is one of the key pillars of Digital India. So, how India could achieve this target? India should promote sustainable industrialization. India should invest in community infrastructure, including the rehabilitation and construction of community schools, medical clinics and water points. Should deliver access to electricity through the distribution of solar lights, solar PV and charging points. Enabling use of digital technology for households, schools and business, and reducing the pressure on local forests as a source of fuel. Should promote the use of digital technology such as GPS trackers and tablet computers to facilitate forestry project implementation and the capture and sharing of monitoring data. India should invest in new resilient infrastructure in developing countries or retrofit existing infrastructure to make it more sustainable. India should expand the geographic reach of research and development facilities, bringing R&D capabilities to developing countries. Should promote innovation by giving all stakeholders the opportunity to offer creative solutions to sustainability challenges. Consult and engage a wide range of stakeholders, including minority groups, to ensure that infrastructure development benefits and creates opportunities for all. India should establish standards and promote regulation that ensure company projects and initiatives that are sustainably managed. India should also collaborate with NGOs and public sector to help promote sustainable growth within developing countries. So with that, we come to the end of goal 9, and now we are moving on to goal 10, that is reduced inequalities. This SDG is closely interrelated with goals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 15 and 16. It aims to progressively reduce income inequalities and inequalities of outcome by ensuring access to equal opportunities and promoting social, economic and political inclusion of all, irrespective of age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, religion and other status relevant within a society. It also aims to enhance representation and voice for developing countries in decision making in international institutions. The best performing state and UT are Meghalaya and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. So, what about the targets? First one, by 2030, progressively achieve and sustain income growth of bottom 40% of the population at a rate higher than national average. Second one, by 2030, empower and promote the social, economic and political inclusion of all, irrespective in age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion or economic or other status. Third one, ensure equal opportunity and reduce inequalities of outcome, including by eliminating discriminatory laws, policies and practices and promoting appropriate legislation, policies and actions in this regard. Fourth one, to adopt policies, especially fiscal, wage and social protection policies and progressively achieve gender equality. Fifth one, improve the regulation and monitoring of global financial markets and institutions and strengthen the implementation of such regulations. Next one, ensure enhanced representation and voice for developing countries in decision making in global, international economic and financial institutions in order to deliver more effective, credible, accountable and legitimate institutions. Seventh one, facilitates orderly, safe, regular and responsible migration and mobility of people, including through the implementation of planned and well-managed migration policies. There are 3 sub-targets, and the first one tries to implement the principle of special and differential treatment for developing countries, in particular least developed countries, in accordance with World Trade Organization agreements. Next one, encourage official development, assistance and financial flows, including foreign direct investment to states where the need is the greatest, in particular least developing countries, African countries, small island developing countries and landlocked developing countries. And the last one is, by 2030, reduce to less than 3% the transaction cost of migrant remittance and eliminate remittance corridors with cost higher than 5%. So, where India stands? First, urban inequality. In urban India, the top 10% of households have a monthly consumption expenditure that is 1.41 times the monthly consumption expenditure of the bottom 40. Among the states, urban inequality is lowest in Manipur with Palma ratio at 0.68 and highest in Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh with a Palma ratio of 1.83. And Palma ratio is the ratio that gives urban inequality. Among UTs, the lowest Palma ratio is in Daman and Diu with 0.74 and highest in Andaman and Nicobar Islands with 1.76. What about rural inequality? In rural India, the top 10% spends 0.92 times the bottom 40% households on monthly consumptions. Among the state, rural inequality is lowest in Meghalaya with a Palma ratio of 0.61 and highest in Arunachal Pradesh at 1.34%. Among the UTs, rural inequality is lowest in Delhi and Puducherry at 0.63 each and highest in Chandigarh with 1.18. What about transgender labor force participation? The 2030 target is to have the labor force participation rate of the transgender population to be equal to the labor force participation that of the male. The current ratio of former to later, that is transgender to male in India, stands lower than target ratio of 1 at 0.64. 5 states in India have surpassed the target, namely Arunachal Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Telangana. Next one is scheduled caste fund utilization. 3 states and 2 UTs, namely Kerala, Manipur, West Bengal, Chandigarh and Daman and Diu utilized 100% of scheduled caste subplan funds, while state of Goa and Uttarakhand utilized less than the half. On an average in the country, 77.67% of the fund allocated for the scheduled caste population have been utilized. What about scheduled tribe fund utilization? States and UTs like Karnataka, Kerala, West Bengal, Andaman and Nicobar Island and Daman and Diu utilized 100% of the tribal subplan funds, while Goa and Uttar Pradesh again utilized less than half. On an average in the country, 82.98% of the fund allocated towards scheduled tribe population has been utilized. So, what are the Government of India initiatives? So, I am repeating again, please refer our material attached to get the detailed ministry-wise sorted list of schemes and programs, and here we are discussing only major ones. Okay. So, first, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. To promote an inclusive growth agenda and strives to attain financial inclusion of all by providing universal access to banking and other financial services. The plan envisions facilitating the opening of at least one bank account per household and empowering all through financial literacy, access to credit, insurance and pension facilities. Beneficiaries will be given a RuPay debit card with inbuilt accident insurance coverage of 1 lakh. Next one is Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program. We discussed this program in the last goal also. Here it aims at generating continuous and sustainable employment opportunities in rural and urban areas. It is a credit-linked subsidy program aimed at generating self-employment opportunities through establishment of micro enterprises in the non-farm sector by helping traditional artisans and unemployed youth. Next one is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act or MG-NREGA. It provides a legal guarantee of 100 days of employment in every financial year to adult members of any rural household willing to do unskilled manual work related to public works at the statutory minimum wage. It aims to bridge the gap between rich and poor and increase the purchasing power of poorest of the poor. Next one is Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gramin Kaushalya Yojana. It focuses on rural youth from poor families between the age of 15 and 35 years with the objective of equipping them for better employment opportunities and income enhancement through skill development, since lack of formal education and marketable skills prevent them from competing on an equitable basis. It attempts to bridge this gap by funding training projects benchmarked to global standards with an emphasis on placement, retention, career progression and foreign placement. Next one is an important scheme, that is Stand Up India scheme. To give new and promising entrepreneurs a chance at making it big. Aims to provide a special thrust to entrepreneurship among women and scheduled castes and tribes. The scheme is anchored at Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance and Government of India. Bank loans between 10 lakh and 1 crore are provided for setting up a greenfield enterprise. Made available to at least one scheduled caste or scheduled tribe and at least one woman per bank. Objective of the scheme is to support SC, ST and women entrepreneurs who face numerous challenges in setting up enterprises, obtaining loans and other needs from time to time. So, how India could achieve the target? Should develop products and services tailored for poor customers, that is, mobile-based money transfer services for unbanked consumers. Should improve access to basic goods and services for people living in poverty, that is like through core business, policy dialogue, social investment, etc. Should recruit and train and employ local community members including those living in poverty and integrate them into your value chain as producers, suppliers, distributors, vendors, etc. Also should invest in business driven poverty eradication activities like develop living wage policy, etc. Partner with civil society networks to provide education and entrepreneurial skills training. Women's right in the public sphere with an emphasis on political life, representation and rights to nationality is very important. Should introduce scholarship schemes for the students with disabilities in ITIs, that is Industrial Training Institutes. Also should provide skill training for people with disabilities. So with that, we come to the end of today's video and the remaining parts will be released soon. So thanks for watching.